Yes, indeed. Time is valuable and your tax dollars are valuable. At least you'd hope to think that your tax dollars are valuable when they're spent by your governments. Now, Montreal is facing criticism over its engineering spending, with a new study showing the city overpaid by at least $40 million on contracts with private firms in 2024. The Municipal Engineers Union says outsourcing has ballooned while quality has dropped, and hourly rates for external engineers have soared 82% since 2012. The union blaming poor cost estimating practices and is calling on the city to rein in spending and bring more engineering work in-house. Let's now go to Gisella Gesuale, president of ASIM. That's the Municipal Engineers Union. Gisella, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So let's talk about the problem here. Why is the city overspending so much when it comes to engineering?
It's an interesting question you ask. What we did observe was that over the last decade, we've seen a dramatic increase in the city's Montreal's reliance on external engineering. Contrary to the warnings from the Charbonneau Commission that was held in around 2015, that they had to scale back, the city decided to increase its dependence on the external firms. And they also increased a lot in their framework agreements. Before, there used to be a lot of agreements that were deliverables, and now the city has opened the door to a lot of hourly rate contracts.
Can you explain it actually? Because I heard that term, framework agreements versus, I think, fixed cost agreements.
Exactly.
Can you tell our listeners just what the difference is here? What are these framework agreements exactly?
Well, in simple words, a framework agreement is a bank of hours. So the city will do a tender saying, I need about 1,000 hours of engineering, be it senior engineers, junior engineers, engineers that have 5 to 10 years experience, technicians. So in essence, what the city will get after this 100-hour contract will be paper or plans, but nothing credible. No road work, no sidewalk, no building, no park, no tree planted, just billable hours of manpower. Instead, fixed contracts is that the city pays for something. Let's say they want to do a road. Well, they will pay a certain amount for the road, and the contract will end once the road is done. There should be no extra cost, or there should be no, that's it. There should be no extra cost. And they have a deliverable. They have an actual road, let's say, or an actual piece of sidewalk that will be done.
And it would seem like that way would be the better way to make sure you don't end up with cost overruns, right? It's basically up to that contractor to get the work done at the price agreed.
Exactly. When you work on an hourly rate, and everything that you do wrong or everything that needs to be corrected, you're billing your person who gave you the contract well.
It pays to make mistakes.
Exactly, and that's what my engineers have been reporting back to me since I became president, because I've done a lot of reflection tables with them, a lot of little small group meetings to get to know what the problem is on the floor, is that they've noticed a decrease in the quality of work. They spend a lot of their time, even though it shouldn't be their responsibility, especially when the city gives a contract, correcting the plans. One of them told me it's like you would see all red on my plan, a plan of, let's say, a sewer system or whatever the contract is. He goes, you would see all red, and he goes, it takes me sometimes 2 to 3 meetings before they correct it. And then what? So the city pays for the external company, the engineering external company, to do the plan. Then they pay the internal engineer because he has to correct it, because if he doesn't correct it, there will be lots of problems in the project, like Place Montréal. And he goes, then I waste my time trying to convince them and make sure they correct it. They finally correct it, and then on another version, they'll have gone back to the version without the correction. So It's very frustrating.
And you bring up Place des Montréalais, right? And that has turned into a bit of a debacle, right? Where it's been unsafe for pedestrians, those walking on. We've seen those stories there. Can I ask you, do we not have the expertise in-house for a lot of this stuff? Like, why are we relying on external firms Doesn't the city of Montreal already employ people that should be doing some of this work?
Well, it employs people that should be doing some of this work, but it prefers to give it to the external companies, which is something that baffles us also because, like I told you, the service and the quality is not there. It's clear that the Montrealers are not getting the best for their buck by the city going externally. And like you saw in the study, it's increased by 93% of what was being outsourced since 2012. Even though Charbonneau, la Commission Charbonneau said, you should try to do as much as possible internally, try to invest in internal workers, internal projects. The city prefers to outskirt externally, and it's something that bothers us also.
And it's not what's being done in some other Quebec cities, right? It'd be one thing that this is like a Quebec pervasive problem even after the Charbonneau Commission. We see like other big Quebec cities like Quebec City, they don't do it this way, do they?
No, they don't do it this way. They do fixed contracts. So they do the contract that's, I'm paying you to do a sidewalk. I'm paying you to do a road. They don't go with hourly contracts. I think we looked at it, off the bat. I think we looked at 1 year of contracts that were given by the city of Quebec, and they only give one contract, 1 or 2 contracts which were hourly contracts. The rest are all fixed contracts with a deliverable.
Do you think, and I want to be careful here, but, do you think that there's something fishy in these decisions? Because it could just be bad governance, or there could be something more serious at play. What do you think's behind all this?
Well, I don't know. Something's not right, that's for sure. Is it ignorance? Is it because they're not aware of what's going on? Something's not right. It's not normal that the hourly rate of an engineer over the last 12 years, like it was written in the study, has increased by 82%. It's more than 3 times the inflation rate. It's not normal, and it's mind-boggling to us that the city of Quebec paid 41% less for the hourly rate that Montreal did. It's mind-boggling. Like something's not right. I've tried to speak. We've tried to be very present at L'Hôtel de Ville, at City Hall. We tried to speak with different councilmen. We tried to speak with upper management to, allow them to understand what's going on, what we're seeing, what we're observing. But I don't see a return from them. I don't see them going in the right direction. I don't see them wanting to change. We have the responsibility. We feel that we have the responsibility to make sure that every dollar is well spent for the Montrealers. And right now, with the city going externally, it's not what's happening.
Why is this so important for you and your union, right? Is the hope because you want to get more of this work in-house, get unionized professionals working for the city of Montreal to be accomplishing this work?
Well, for us, what's important is that every dollar is well spent for the Montrealers. For us right now, it doesn't make sense that we're paying 4 times our salary on an hourly rate for an engineer with the same amount of experience, and the Montrealers are not getting quality. They're getting a lot of errors. They're getting a lot of errors. They're not even getting a deliverable. Look at some of the projects that were done externally across the Montreal that the results have been less than mediocre.
And 4 times, you say 4 times what your salaries is what they're spending when they go external.
Exactly. That's what kind of started this whole journey, if I can call it a journey. That's what kind of started this whole journey. It was a couple of engineers that were looking at a contract, a framework contract, and they were shocked. It was about a couple of years back, where they were shocked to see that for a 5 to 10 year engineer, the external companies were bidding at 4 times our salary.
Gisella, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. I appreciate all the insight you gave us.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. That's Gisella Gesuale, president of ASIM. It's the Municipal Engineers Union.